Hello and welcome, this is Mikael Koos speaking, and this is Quick Art Talk Time, episode 24. Today we're going to talk about why you should draw boring subject matters. And I will go through a couple of points to make clear what I mean by that. Here you see a quick walkthrough of some recorded in-class demo. We were studying a wasp. Let's be honest, when was the last time you drew a wasp? Exactly, it's not the first thing you think about when you want to draw, right? Often when I speak to students, upcoming artists, people that are interested in art, of course everyone wants to be involved and make some amazing piece of an artwork. It's in our creative kind of nature, I think, that we want to output the best possible artwork we can every single time. At least that is my opinion at what we've seen going on at school over and over again, right? You want to get there to that awesome piece and then you want to make another one and another one. However, let's all take a couple of steps back. Let's all relax, and we have to really first be a little bit aware of our, skill level. With all due respect, I also started somewhere and I sucked also. Like, I don't know if if you're familiar with my work at all, if you've seen my works from 15 years ago, it's like everything that we are teaching now was like flawed, right? And I was not able to output the best possible designs, spaceships with, super energy shields and that are able of intergalactical travel and have a defensive laser gun system. Like, that all takes a lot of skill and a lot of comprehension. Comprehension of what? It's the comprehension of the real world. Where are you going to look if you want to have a good grasp of the real world? Well, there is, I have a limited amount of time here, cannot go too much into detail, but, for, the interest of people that are maybe interested in the way we teach, I am going to try to have here a couple of points that perhaps will help you out and make you more aware of what needs to be done before you jump in those, cool subject matters. You go on ArtStation, it seems so utterly impossible how these skilled artists are able to come up with all these amazing shapes and how they're able to really portray it in such a beautiful manner, right? And yeah, I think it really starts with understanding the real world and, to be more specific, nature. Because even if you're studying, for example, in the environment class with Darek, when students are tasked to, for example, study a building, a structure, well, that building has also been made by humans. And humans, over the course of the entire history, have been also drawing inspiration from the real world, which is nature. Nature has been around, nature as a whole, our life on this planet. But I'm also talking about rock formations, everything, life, and, even before life existed on this planet, there was soil, there was water, of course, and everything came to one piece where life, of course, started to develop as well. And it had a lot of time to kind of design itself, or, well, if you believe in God, then God did it. Yeah, I am not sure. However, nature has been along for a very long time. That is the point I'm trying to get to. And it is just better at tackling forms. For example, this is where this example is heading to, where we are studying a wasp, and it might not be the first subject matter that comes to your head to draw again. However, once we dive deeper into it, and we were again lecturing and talking about it extensively in class, you will find the beauty within those simple, underestimated shapes and those underestimated creatures that we take for granted. Look how actually when you zoom in on the wasp, and you see the reference images on your screen being popped out right now, because, well, when we are studying, we definitely make use of reference in a direct but also an indirect way. That has to do with, how to understand shapes. Again, we have a limited amount of time to go into that. However, what is important to understand that once you are really starting to see, how every shape is being taken care of, how it flows all together and is well and logically connected, it really is a beauty in itself. Shape, the color usage, even though the sketches are here black and white. However, we see the pattern forming, it all just really works and fits nicely together. Form, of course, follow function. The wasp needs to perform a certain function. It's an insect, flying insect. It has like this aggressive yet fast and sleek feel to it. And we are really able to dive into it in a very, very nice way. Because again, when you ask, someone, hey, draw a bee, draw a wasp, it's an insect, However, it's very important that you look at it at a humble way and don't take for granted how much nature has to offer to you. When it comes, for example, to then, the advanced level of designing, later on when you start noticing that every awesome design or illustration really is connected in some way or another to our real world. Look at, for example, the designs of Star Wars, of the Avatar universe. I guarantee you, they're all connected to the real world, which we really often take for granted. And how to embed it and to engrave into your system, how to remember all these shapes, right? Because in the end, well, we teach our students to, basically get paid for coming up with your own shapes. Therefore, it is very important that you first are as aware as possible of our real world. The comprehension of our real world and our surrounding, our environment, what nature has to offer, all the creatures that are alive in this world, or even are not alive or extinct, you can make reference of that as well, is such an important subject matter to research, to discuss even with your friends if you see fit. It is extremely, extremely important to never take for granted what the real world has to offer. And we often forget it. I am maybe right now very passionate about it. And it's not the first time I'm talking about it in these videos. This one will be a little bit shorter than usual. And some people are into longer videos, some people are into shorter videos. But again, I want to make these points loud and clear. Every well-known IP, like I said before, is connected in some way or another to the real world. How to stay connected, how to be able to always be aware that everything has to do with the real world, well, is to do studies like these, right? So we are really finding the beauty in so-called the boring subject matter. And I hope that me explaining here my points a little bit on a rudimentary level will make all these subjects less boring. I know, for example, the artists that, for example, are able to find the beauty in a simple rock formation, right? They're making studies of it, more studies, third study, fourth study, and after a while they're able to grasp the proportion and the shape essence of how these rocks are being formed and are able to come up with their own interpretation on it. Again, it all has to do with being aware first what the real world has to offer. And, well, again, we first start with dissecting and researching what the real world has to offer. This demo has been done for the intro to hardware design. And you might think hardware, so yeah, it's vehicles and spaceships and how to get into drawing, science fiction jet fighters or mechs. And that is all, of course, true. But yeah, even at school, of course, we go and look and have a nice check with nature and what nature has to offer, because it really raises the perception of our students before we jump back into studying and giving them an introduction to how to design mechanics on a logical way, in a way that it is, logical and believable, that it is manufacturable. We have to always immerse ourselves in the topics that we are trying to visually communicate to the audience. All right. So again, there are maybe, certain points that I wanted to go over more, but I really promised myself I will keep this in a limited time frame. As this video comes to an end, the other point that I wanted to, cover is the obvious. Why should you, spend that profound amount of time of drawing all these so-called boring subject matters? Is because even kind of on that, and I'm talking here only right now from my own personal experience, even from on a subconscious, almost unaware kind of level, when you're drawing things from nature, from multiple angles, like you draw the same object from multiple angles, like this wasp or a bird or a horse or some kind of beautiful sea creature, it becomes like a nice addition to your visual library. Visual library, often people confuse it with, I just have to look at things. Well, yes, of course, you have to also be an observer, and that might be a topic for another time, how to be an efficient observer. However, when you actually put that observation into practice by drawing, you not only embed the shapes in your system, so to speak, but at the same time, you also become better at drawing. So kind of like the transfer rate between what is in your head and at the tip of your pen becomes better and better over time. Not mentioning the fact that while doing these kind of dynamic sketches, where we didn't have the time to explain what dynamic sketching is, again, maybe a topic for another time. Not to forget that we're also here, of course, covering the fundamentals on a pretty advanced level already, because as you can see, I'm kind of eyeballing the perspective, the shapes, kind of suggesting the shading already with my line weight. And that, of course, you can see that all these, even the quickest dynamic sketches, can have a lot of underlying knowledge, right? So this is why it's so important that that this knowledge needs to be channeled in the proper way, because people sometimes get confused how much knowledge there actually is packed in just a simple sketch like that. Again, these are, of course, a nice contribution to your visual library. They build up your skill, practice, and you learn how to find beauty in the more simple things. And after a while, you learn that these simple things aren't actually not that simple or not that boring. The more I studied insects, the more I found how beautiful and overwhelmingly amazing these creatures are, right? Anyway, it appears that we are running out of time. It has been very cool to do this. More to come. Stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget about that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. And take care.